Really quick, I don't know if they're going to hear this, but shout out to your friends who are twerking.
Oh, God!
Welcome to In and Out of Character, a Roleplayers podcast, where I, your host, Mr. Island, go around to talk to roleplayers from all around the world doing all sorts of things because I really like roleplaying. Today I got to talk to somebody in the VR roleplay space. Their name is RayeStar's. They have their own channel, which I'll be happy to link everything down below. They do a lot of streaming, a lot of virtual reality role-playing, and they talk to me about how it brings them a sense of freedom and diversity compared to other forms of role-playing. We talked about how to get into VR role-playing because I've never been a part of it. They talked to me about how they got to streaming and how they handle burnout, and they also talked to me a lot about VR roleplay culture. Before we get into it entirely, if you do not mind, if you're listening to this and you like this, please share it. That would be wonderful for me, and it would really help a lot. If you don't want to share it around, if you wouldn't mind just on the podcaster where you're listening to this for, if you wouldn't mind giving it like a rating and giving me your honest feedback, or just coming into the Discord and talking to me about it and letting me know how you feel about it, that would be so tremendously helpful because I really want to grow this and do justice by the people I'm interviewing and talking to, and I'm not going to be able to get that point, I feel, if I don't get honest feedback. You know what I mean? Anyways, thank you so much for listening, and let's go ahead and get into it. It's so cool seeing you run around in VR, and
Yeah.
if this gets into what listeners, I am looking at I'm looking at my friend here's stream, and being able to like look around and see inside the world. It's cool. It's almost like MMO-ish, but it's from like a really unique sort of first person kind of ish view. I don't know.
Like I said, if you want me to, I have a camera here.
Mhm.
And that's actually how I can move the camera around like this. So if you want to see,
Oh,
like, this is where I am right now.
look at that. Big fish.
Oh, big fish. That's a big fish. And yes, obviously we do use this map this is one of the locations that we use for our RP.
Mhm.
The Fractured Realm. This
Mhm.
is like supposed to be a location for the gods to meet up and stuff. A neutral ground, a neutral grounds, I suppose you could call it.
Yeah, that's so cool. This is so super cool. I've always been
Yeah.
so curious. Okay, so if you don't mind me just kind of jumping into it,
Oh
to
yeah,
start
go
off
for
with,
it.
how did you get into role playing?
That's an interesting question because I
Hmm.
technically had tried getting into text RP before
Hmm.
I got into the VR stuff.
Hmm.
Um, I tried it once. I didn't work out because long story short, my character was supposed to be connected to another character that was existing in the story. Um,
Hmm.
I was supposed to be a bodyguard for the king. And
Hmm.
yet, there were some actions that I was called out for that I apparently couldn't take. And I was like, okay, you know what? Fine. Even though I personally don't think it makes sense, because I should be here right by their side. I know this character. I should notice this. Um, but apparently I wasn't allowed to. Okay. But then later on, another character who has no connections and was farther away was able to call it out. And they never got called out for it like I did. So I was like, okay, this just seems like it'd be too stressful. Because this is literally my first session. And what the heck, you know? Because I always think when you're trying to tell a story, especially in roleplay, it needs to make sense.
Yeah.
And that was one of those, like my first introduction to it, I was like, that doesn't seem to make sense. Okay, I don't think it's for me. But then, cue a few years later, I've been in VR chat for a few years now.
Hmm.
Um, and my best friend at the time, he was starting to get into role play. He had invited me and the rest of his our friends at the time multiple times to join him. At first, I was hesitant because of what happened in the past. I was like, not for me. It just doesn't seem like it seems too stressful and not enough fun if that's all it's gonna be. But
Yeah.
eventually, he was like explained to me. He's like, hey, look, there's a casual, like a social, that you could join. You don't have to worry about any of that kind of stuff with characters, like with story and all that jazz. It's just a social where you get to hang out in character, do wacky shenanigans. And I was like, okay, you know what? I'm down for some wacky, woohoo, funny shenanigans. I'm always down for that. Um, and that was when I made my first character, which is actually the character you see right now on screen.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I just had so much fun because I just kind of got to play her the way I wanted to play her. It was fun and I got to be silly and I didn't never got called out for, oh, you can't do this when I should have been able to do it. Um, this and that. Uh, so yeah, I just had such a fun time that I was like, you know what? I want to do this again. Um, And I kind of just kept coming back to socials, and then eventually I got invited to partake in this story that was going on, and I actually got to see what you can do with a story, like when you're actually telling a story with RP. I got to experience it, see, and it was just so amazing what I was witnessing. I was like, you know what? I think I want to give this another chance because this just seems like it's so much fun. And here I am, about like 5 years later.
That's fine. I'm glad that had a good turnabout because like it does suck when you're doing something and you like someone like feels like, hey, remember, and then someone else does the same thing and they get praised for it and you're like, what the fuck? It's like
Exactly. Like I was like, what the fuck? Like
it's like being at a party saying a joke, no one responding, someone else saying the same fucking joke, and everyone laughing, and you're like, wow, I think I might start punching people in a minute. What the fuck?
exactly. Like cuz the way it was supposed to be, it was like a group of pirates, right? That's
Uh-huh.
what the
Yeah.
others were. And I don't know how cuz obviously I literally just did the one session with them, but they
Mhm.
somehow had a king uh on their ship. And I was supposed to be introduced as this king's bodyguard. Like I
Mhm.
was their right-hand man, essentially. And we had this Kraken shit that was going on, like attacking the ship, but he was
Mhm.
never being touched. He was not being attacked at all. And I had literally stated before that I would stay right by his side because he's the only person I know.
Mhm.
Um, and I was saying, oh, well, okay, I would notice this because I'm literally right next to him, you know?
Right.
But when I said that, the DM private like messaged me like a private DM was like, "Hey, so actually I can't have you notice that." Uh and I was like, "Oh, I mean, I thought I was next to him cuz that's my job as the bodyguard, but okay." So it's like, okay, I had to erase that response and then replace it with, "Okay, I guess somehow I, got some distance. Maybe I got separated in the chaos, right?" And I didn't realize that I had been separated because I was fighting a kraken, only for one of the pirates, one of the more antagonistic pirates, mind you, the ones that didn't trust him, to call that same thing out. Where it's like, hey, he's not being attacked. The same thing I called out. They just went with them. Like, what is this?
You know
What
what
do
this
you
sounds
mean?
like? You know what this sounds like? This sounds like someone made a deal with the DM to be to have like the spotlight shown on them or some shit like that.
I don't want to say that because the person who called it out, they're actually, I'm still really good friend. I'm still pretty good friends with them. Like they were,
Mhm.
they were younger. Like because this was like a group of friends I made online,
Okay.
and this was one of the younger members. But they were really sweet. So I know it didn't have to do with the deal or anything. I think it was just the DM,
Mhm.
like that was being the issue. Maybe it was just favoritism, or maybe I don't know. Uh,
I get what you're saying. I understand. Like it just doesn't feel right.
yeah, but I'm not gonna blame the player.
Okay, fine, player, you're off the hook. I was about to go after you.
Yeah. No, Lil, I got you. No worries. You're good, Pookie. I love you, Lil.
So, how did you like? What was your interest into getting into like VR role play? Like, what you because there's like a lot of role playing you could be doing out in the world. Like, I primarily role play in MMOs like Elder Scrolls Online,
Yeah.
and like I could go off and do forum role play or Discord role play, but I choose to do this one avenue. So, like, what drew you to VR role play?
I suppose it boils down to immersion.
Mm-hmm.
Immersion, and also I think there's freedom, a lot more freedom. in
Uh-huh.
something like this versus doing like text RP or like RP in a VC or even stuff like in MMOs.
Mhm.
Because the thing with VR, and I'll say specifically VR chat. I'm just gonna say specifically VR chat
Mhm.
is here actually let me you probably can't see it right now. So let me see if I could turn off my camera for just a second. Yeah, so this is my point of view,
Uh-huh.
right? And I want to show this.
For my listeners, she's showing me her point of view and let me look around.
Yeah. I at least wanted to show like there's a lot of freedom when it comes to VR. For example, there's all kinds of maps that you can choose from and look for that you could do RP in, right?
Mhm.
Like all, and these are all made by people, by the way, like other players just like me, just way talented, like very talented, obviously.
Mhm.
Um, Another thing with freedom is having the freedom to create your characters. Like I made this model,
Uh-huh.
and I made all these models.
Right.
Like that's not even all of it. There we go. There's like more here. Like I'll show you. This is like one of my more creative ones recently. It's an Eldritch
Uh-huh.
character.
Uh-huh.
But
Oh, look at the head.
yeah, thank you. I even have like different toggles for screens. Like
I like that.
you know,
Oh man, this is for my audio only podcast. No one's gonna understand what I'm up against. I'm gonna
oh
have to like
no.
show pictures.
Yeah, if you want, I could. We could definitely take pictures later. I got you. Just let me
Hell
know.
yeah.
Um, But yeah, so there's a lot of freedom because there's all kinds of worlds that you can search for and choose from, like to do all kinds of scenes. If you know how to 3D model, you can again make worlds, but you could also make characters however you want them to be. Whether
Mm-hmm.
you're making them custom from scratch, or you can find assets online and then kind of Frankenstein your way through to making a character. That's what I usually do.
Hell yeah.
But it's more than that. It's also the fact of like it's more immersive. You get to actually be the character and
Mm.
do these like actions. You get to see these settings. Um like it's just a lot more immersive in my opinion, but without having to go outside into the real world, like
Yeah,
and
I
do
get you.
LARPing. It's like
Yeah.
LARPing but in VR. So you get to do it from the safety of your home and from the comfort of your home. And you have all kinds of options that you can do and you can play all kinds of characters that you can create. Like it's near limitless what you can and can't do when it
Well,
comes to
I'll be
VR.
honest. You're definitely selling it for me. Like it sounds like a lot of fun, but like I'm so afraid. I don't like the sound of my voice.
Oh, me neither.
I don't know why I do. The only reason why I even do this podcast is just because it gives me a reason to like get in contact with people like you and talk about this.
Yeah, like I mean, I'm with you. I usually don't like my voice either. I'll be
Mhm.
honest. At least not when not unless I'm doing stuff like singing and shit, because I do like to sing. I will be
Mhm.
honest. It's just like it's one of those things where like say for example, I look back at my old VODs
Mhm.
and I hate hearing my voice because I will admit if I like, I've learned a lot in the last 5 years of doing RP and
Uh-huh.
I was very cringy back then.
I mean, weren't we all when we first started, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, it was very cringy back then. But over time, you kind of just like get into like you kind of grow more comfortable, more you adjust more with your voice and your character and whatnot. And you even get to experiment with new voices. Like without doing this RP, I wouldn't have been able to learn all the voices that I currently do for my characters. Including more. I'm trying to do more masculine voices now because I have male
Mhm.
characters I play, even though
Mhm.
I'm a girl. But yeah, I think one of my favorite voices I do currently, for example, would be a. But yeah, you kind of just get to experiment with all kinds of voices. For example, this is Katrina Wasserman, a mad scientist, and I do a Germanic sort of accent for her.
That's
Which,
fun.
yeah, it is a very fun time.
If you don't mind me asking, really quick, like, what do you need to? Because you're the very first VR role player I have ever spoken to. I
Yeah. which
How
I'm honored.
would like yeah, you're my entrance to all of this. If I were to want to get into it like myself, like what is all the equipment that I need? Because you need a lot of equipment for this, right?
Um, I think here's okay, when it comes to that, it really just depends on where exactly you want to go. And I had a feeling you're gonna ask about this. Because technically,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm gonna say this because I imagine you probably don't know. You don't need VR to play VR
Mm-hmm.
chat. I want to say this
What?
right. Yeah, you do not need VR to play VR chat. You can play with just your computer, desktop.
Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah, no, you don't. You like. I know it's crazy because it's called VR chat, but yeah, no. Despite the name, you do not need VR to play VR chat. So
Mhm.
technically, you do not need VR to roleplay. Now, there are some RPs out there that do make that a requirement
Mhm.
because of immersion, especially when it comes to stuff like combat. However, not all role plays are like this. Like, for example, the one I'm partaking with my friends, the Fractured Realm, we do not make, like, you do not need VR to partake in our role
Mhm.
play. We've had plenty, we've had friends who started off on desktop and now they've worked
Mhm.
their way up, but that's because they wanted to, you know?
So, would you prefer you yourself? Do you prefer to role play with like people who have the headset and the I guess their controllers, or people, or do you prefer it with people who just do computer or desktop?
Uh, like, I don't really have a preference because, like, I've RP'd with, like, both,
Uh huh.
and I've never really had issues either way. Because, like, say if you're doing desktop, right? You don't have
Mm-hmm.
like the arms or the legs. That's when you would go more to describing your actions, right? Like describing
Mm-hmm.
what you are doing. Which, to be fair, that's kind of how we do our combats and stuff sometimes in the role play anyway. So
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't really change too much on my end, in all honesty. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I really have a preference per se.
That's really cool. So you can create like all sorts of worlds. So you're not stuck in any particular genre because like no matter what in Elder Scrolls Online, if I go to roleplay in Elder Scrolls Online, I'm going to be stuck in its genre, right? Like it doesn't
Yeah.
change. It'll never actually change besides for like, if you want a romantic scene or an action scene or whatever, that sort of stuff. But like I'm
Yeah.
always stuck to this world's fantasy and I guess you're not at all, like, in any capacity.
Oh, absolutely not. I am not limited to just like say a fantasy setting at all.
Mhm,
Like I could go we've done RP in places like there's been high tech like cyberpunk-esque cities. We've done obviously fantasy scenarios, wood like just simple woods to floating islands. We've done some in more modern day places as well, like just modern day cities or towns, neighborhoods. Like it really is just whatever you can find on
mhm.
VR chat, and there is a lot to pick from on VR chat. Like you could even do stuff in the back rooms if you wanted to. There's a bunch of backrooms maps here in VR chat. Like a lot. Actually, you know what? I could bring you to one in particular that we've been using for it's backrooms slash pandemonium because we it started off with backrooms and then it grew into something more with the RP we do. But yeah, no, the sky's the limit when it comes to where like what kind of settings you're looking for when it comes to
Mhm.
RP. And that's even the thing with at least a fractured realm is we the way the lore is set up with our RP, there is no limit.
Right.
Because the whole point of the fractured realm is it's a bunch of pieces of different realms that are
Mhm.
just kind of mushed together into one.
So you can literally just do whatever you want.
Yeah, like you could have a cyberpunk city in one shard and then another shard, like right next door is a medieval town, and so
Mhm,
on and so
mhm,
forth. Really, the limit is just what you can or can't find in VR chat. And there's a
mhm,
lot to pick from, like a lot.
mhm. Well, if you don't mind me asking, more on the focus of you yourself, like, what
Mhm.
led you to want to start doing, like, streaming it and, doing it on YouTube? Because that's how I found
Uh,
you.
yeah. I will say okay. So I will say first cuz this is going to be a bit of an answer.
Mhm,
I did start off on Twitch. because I had been streaming on Twitch. Like, I've been streaming on Twitch for a while. I'd been streaming games, video games and stuff, but never RP. It wasn't until I started doing the story stuff, like when I started doing story elements in RP on VR chat, that I was like, man, I kind of want to stream this. I will admit I was a bit hesitant just because of like I was worried that viewers might not like it, or admittedly also some personal stuff, like personal reasons why I was hesitant. But my friends pushed me, it's like, hey, you should give it a shot, see how it goes. And I was like, you know what? Okay, I will do that. And I've just been going ever since. I've really enjoyed streaming on Twitch, my experience in roleplay. The reason why I started streaming on YouTube is a different story, because I don't know if you know, like, do you watch anything on Twitch, or do you
Not
normally
normally.
stick with YouTube?
I normally don't use Twitch. The only time I ever use Twitch is because I'm a big Warframe fan, and I like to go over there to watch the dev streams. That's about it.
So I will say Twitch had implemented a new system, because the reason why I liked streaming on Twitch is because I could save my VODs, so I could save my streams and then have that story out there. But recently, like this year, Twitch had set up a storage limit with those VODs out of nowhere, and basically gave us like what, a month to basically clear up all that space, or they were gonna start deleting VODs at random. And I had like 1,500 hours worth of content, and they wanted me to reduce that to 100 hours.
Jesus.
In a month. Yeah. So that's when I was like, okay, what can I do? And I was like, you know what? I think it's time. And I had thought of doing it for like a little before, for a while. But I was like, I think it's finally time to start bringing this to YouTube. So that's what I've been doing. And for those who have been watching my stuff on YouTube, I apologize for the disorganization. I am pumping like 5 years worth of VODs I have in my computer into my YouTube channel, which is going to take a lot of organization, a lot of time. But that is the goal. I'm going to try to have all my VODs uploaded on there as soon as I can, and then I got to organize it, and that is where I'm going to start having my VODs be from this point forward. I had been wanting to kind of like have the VODs on YouTube anyway. I guess Twitch just gave me that incentive. So, yeah, here we are.
Well, it sounds like you did the best you could with what you had. I mean, that does suck. I mean, I know Twitch has been facing some problems for a while now, and I didn't know about the whole storage things. That does suck.
Yeah, admittedly, it does suck, but it's all right because I got YouTube. So, yeah.
That's pretty an interesting way of keeping them around, because like I like to sometimes save the stories that are like I just save like the chat, the chat box when there's a scene that I'm a part of that I really enjoyed, and I like going back and like just rereading through them and like remembering all the other players and the characters. Maybe, but I'm also a bit of a romantic in that sense.
Yeah. I mean, I love being able to save like the VODs in my progress into story. Like, I love being able to look back and, to be able to watch those videos, because as cringy as some of them can be, especially the older videos, like they're still good memories that I had, that I don't want to lose.
Oh yeah, I love it all, cringiness included. And I get to be a part of it because I saw. Oh yeah, hold on, really quick. I don't know if they're gonna hear this, but shout out to your friends who are twerking.
Oh God!
That made me laugh so much. I turned in and I saw that happening. I was like, "What?"
Yeah, no, and then like I told them that you were watching, like, because I told them that I was going to be doing a podcast today. I'm like, hey, guys, remember how I told you I'm doing a podcast with this dude on this day? He's watching right now as you were twerking, and then they proceeded to twerk even more.
I saw that. I was there for that bit.
I was like,
that was pretty
assholes.
fun. That is pretty fun. So a shout out to those guys, because they made me giggle quite for quite a while.
Hell yeah.
Are there like, are you? I know that you VR chat, like one of the things that makes it really nice is one of its pros is that you can do it from the safety of your own home. But like, does this ever make you now want to like get up, dress up, go cosplay, or go LARP?
Admittedly, no.
Damn, take
I
that, LARPers.
like it's nothing against LARPers. It's not that I wouldn't be comfortable. I think I could do it. I guess it's more just of a matter of um I just prefer VR because I can do a lot more in VR
Hmm.
versus
Hmm.
with LARPing. Um like this is I think the best it will be for me personally.
Hmm.
Because I could be all kinds of characters. I can like do all kinds of things that I probably wouldn't be able to do in a LARPing scenario, and I'm not limited to like the specific setting that, is set up
Hmm.
for that. Like, I mean, I
Hmm.
could be a guy.
Hmm.
I could be a guy in VR. Yeah, I
Hmm.
have multiple male characters now. So yeah, I think it's more comfortable and it's more freedom.
Can I hear one of your male voices?
Well, to do that, I gotta be into the male character. So, since I am not opening my voice mod, you're getting Jinzo. Let me pull up my bird for a sec.
Oh, you guys get voice mods too. That's right.
We do have voice mods, so that is also something that could help. But why, hello there, Jinzo at your service. I'm a wonderful bard. But yes,
What
this
is
is what I do for male voices.
That's fun. That's fun. Let me ask you: is there like a setting preference? Like, is there a preferred setting that you enjoy?
um. Let's see. I mean, I think I'm always going to have a preference for the fantasy sort of setting, you know?
Hmm.
However,
I'm a big fan of high fantasy.
oh yeah. However, and this is a more recent thing. So we recently did introduce a cyberpunk
Mm.
city as a setting, and we have been having a lot of fun with that particular setting as well.
Wow, that is pretty fascinating. I don't think I've seen a type of because like for tabletop role playing, you have to go get the rules and the system for that thing. But with VR, you can just do it. Oh my goodness, it looks complicated. It looks super complicated.
And yes, I did make this model as well. We just have a lot of fun like with making these models. I'll tell you what. But yeah, no, it's a lot of fun doing stuff in VR.
Does your model ever glitch out like super bad?
Oh, it has. Absolutely.
So is there like could well you already answered that question. Like you're
Which
you're
one?
very content on staying in VR. Like
Mhm.
you enjoy VR, you like VR. Do you ever get tired of it?
I mean, I'll be honest, I've definitely had times of burnout and stuff. Like just
Mhm.
cuz like when it comes to our group of friends, we can really get into, you know, RP
Mhm.
and stuff. And we again, it's a campaign, a story that's been going on for 5 years and we've been adding more and more as we go. So there have been times where I've had burnout, but I have learned at least to like communicate about that sort of thing. Although it doesn't happen often, whenever there is like I do have burnout, like I'll be sure to bring it up, whenever that happens. But it doesn't really happen often. And if anything, like the times I've had burnout, it wouldn't even be so much because of the RP,
Yeah.
more so just because I would also have my own personal things going on in real life, that would kind of also just make it kind of exhausting, which I've talked to my friends about before at this point.
Yeah, that's something like a lot of us role players kind of sort of don't talk about enough is like how to handle burnout and etc. Because like burnout and like people are like, you don't mix I see like don't mix in character and out of character, stuff like that. But like sometimes it's super hard to keep yourself separated from your character. And that's because, things are tiring and you're not able to put in as much effort as normal.
Yeah.
And a lot of people look at that as like a super duper bad thing, but I don't think it needs to be a bad thing. I just think it just needs to be a thing for people to be able to be like, hey, are you doing all right?
Yeah. Like, and that's the thing that we have talked about before, where it's like when it comes to RP, I don't think people communicate enough about like when they either just need some time to chill or they need a break or when they feel like they're burnt out. or if there's issues that they might be having, like of any kind. Like there's communication, I think, is one of the biggest issues that the RP
Hmm.
community as a whole has, because not a lot of people a lot of people don't want to like risk causing drama, right?
Right. Yeah, of
Or
course.
issues. But because of that, they feel like they can't speak up because then they feel like they're being a problem.
Right. Yeah, and it is
Um,
difficult. I definitely can see that void because I've been there a couple of times myself.
oh yeah, I think we've all been there. But
Hmm.
that's why at least when it comes to our friend group, we try to communicate as best we can. I'm not going to say it's always perfect.
Hmm.
I mean, like nothing's ever going to be perfect, and sometimes there's just going to be issues no matter what, but we
Hmm.
definitely do try our best to communicate more
Hmm.
about, when there's issues or when we just need a moment to breathe or,
Yeah.
whatever the topic may be.
Yeah, and I'm as we're talking about this, I'm thinking about it. In MMO role playing, there's a possibility that you would never ever talk out of character with the other player, right? You could just introduce yourselves at the bar in character and then walk away, never knowing anything about the player themselves. But in VR chat role playing, it seems like you're almost forced to interact with people out of character. Is that right?
I mean, I think it really depends because, like, at least with my experience, right? If you
Hmm.
need to talk to someone out of character,
Hmm.
about any situation, if it's something that's quick and short, like maybe just for a quick joke or describing an action, I mean, that's fine. That sort of
Hmm.
thing's gonna just happen sometimes.
Hmm.
But if there's an issue and you need to talk to someone about this issue, right? And you don't want it to interrupt other people that are also role playing, but they're not involved with whatever is going on. Usually, either you would go invisible and then you talk in
Hmm.
a private call with the other person, or
Hmm.
some social maps will have a spawn box, which
Hmm.
is where you would first spawn in the map, but it's also a place where you can talk with people out of character.
Oh,
So
okay.
without interrupting other role players that are in character.
Oh, okay. So like, there's an out of character area that's like where you
Yes.
spawn in at, and then everything beyond that point is in character. That's pretty cool. That's pretty awesome.
That usually happens with more like either social maps or maps that were specifically built for RP. If you're in a world though where that's not the case, like obviously it wasn't built for RP purposes,
Hmm.
that's when you would either find a more secluded spot where no one else is to discuss, or you just go invisible and then you talk with them in a call if you can. At least me and my friends, we all have an avatar we could change
Hmm.
into if we need to go invisible,
Okay.
the DM model, if you will, and we could just have that. That way, we're not just like, standing out in the middle of nowhere or having our characters hunched over if we take off the VR headset.
Yeah. VR chat is sounding more like a almost tabletop-ish setup, except like not really. It's so interesting. Like, it's really is fascinating to me because like you're there with people, but not quite there. Like, you're not so separated where it feels like it's a computer. Do you get what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
I think I do. That's the thing, because when it comes to VR chat, like VR chat obviously was not made for role play purposes.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
it is first and foremost just a social platform
Hmm.
for you to interact with all kinds of people, but that's why there's all kinds of maps
Hmm.
that, you can go to in this game. Like for example, if you're not doing role play and you can just go to simple hangout maps. You can go do karaoke. I've done drunk karaoke before. It's great. There's all kinds of spooky maps that you can do, especially for Halloween. Like there's just all kinds of stuff you can do in VR chat.
Hmm. Man. And so is there also like I'm assuming most people set up their own sort of settings, right? Like they
Mhm.
find what their genre is and they go there and then that's how they start getting into it. But is there like established IP role play in VR chat?
Yeah, there is. There's definitely a few, and it's even it reaches a point where there's gonna be certain times where you can do like sponsor yourself or what you do, depending on what it is that you do, right? And
Mhm.
I have seen sponsors or just like sort of like I don't know if I want to say like something like bulletin boards or some shit like that, but VR-esque
Mhm.
advertisements, however you want to call it. There
Mhm.
have been stuff like that for big role plays as well. Although I personally don't partake in those myself, so I
Mhm.
am not too familiar, at least when it comes to the really, really big role plays that take place. I've tried a few of them. Wasn't for me.
No, I get you. What are they like, if you don't mind me asking?
Um, well, first things first, it's a lot more people
Yeah.
than, what I usually RP with. So say for example, in a fractured realm there's like what, 10 like 10 is just an estimate without me actually counting in my head.
Mhm.
There's like about 10 of us uh that role play together normally, but in socials it can go up to like 30-40 people in a single instance.
30 to 40 people. I think I might go insane.
Yeah, there can be a lot of people. But that's the thing, that's why the maps are really big. Like, because usually when it comes to that sort of thing, the map is big enough to, kind of make up for the large
Oh,
amount of people.
so like everybody's kind of like going off into their own little. It's a large
Exactly,
group
yeah.
of small groups.
Yeah.
Okay.
Technically, yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
because like some of these maps are like entire cities, or an entire, like, say, a giant academy with like all kinds of areas that you can explore and shit. That's what it usually would be for like the bigger RP like role plays where they have big areas because they know they're gonna have a lot of people partaking in there. So there is that. Oh, there's also socials as well, which again, socials similar situation. When it comes to socials, it's like you could basically technically do whatever you want because then you're entering a place where you're interacting with all kinds of characters with different lore and different ways of how their character works in terms of magic abilities, so on and so forth.
Okay. So that's like that literally is just a hot pot of like all different characters from all sorts of genres.
Yes, that
Okay.
is when you basically enter what we call the metaverse.
Mm.
Basically. Because the metaverse is basically where like that hot pot is. All kinds of people can interact from all kinds of different role plays and stuff. So those are usually referred to as socials.
Mm.
Um, it's so basically just a place where you can hang out with other people and stuff. If we're talking about big role plays that do more story driven stuff, that's where it gets a bit different. Cause then it's not like, oh, just anyone can join in. Like you have to sign up for it, like submit character sheets, get approved and all that jazz. And then you get to bring in a new character into this world that clearly has a story going on. So it's not just a social hangout. You're here to tell a story, you know? And of course you gotta abide by how their world works, about like how their rules, all that, that sort of thing. It can still be a lot of fun though. It's just socials can be fun. The ones that are not socials can also be fun, but I've just also seen issues, like the ones I've been in the past, have usually never finished. They usually get canceled actually before it can proceed. Although I have been in one that has finished, and there is another one that is still ongoing that I just stepped away from for multiple reasons.
Well, have you ever tried? Have you set up your own worlds and stuff like that? Like, is this all yours, or did other people do this?
If we're talking about worlds, I have not made a world personally myself. I wish. I one day I want to learn how to do it. I haven't done it. But if we're referring to like specifically RP maps,
Oh.
like for the big RP,
Mhm.
some of them do make commissions so that they make their own maps. Yes. Like I know, for example, Arcala City is a social, and the map used for that is made, to my knowledge, by the creator of, like, the owner of Arcala City, which is Suddenly Sora. So he does have his own custom map made because he knows how to make maps.
And that's so awesome because like you can make. Oh man, I really am a little jealous. You can make literally like if it wasn't for the fact that I have to be doing voices, right? Like I would be head hook and like I would be into this, but because of my anxiety with my voice, it's just so it's scary is what it is, and I'm a Scaredy cat.
I will say one RP I did partake in that I did finish, and I'm waiting for the next season, is actually like based off of Danganronpa, if you know what that is.
No idea.
Danganronpa is an actual video game that exists, and it was even adapted into an anime. But basically, it has to do. It's a murder mystery kind of thing, a detective kind of game where you have to survive through a killing game by finding the killer and then going through these trials.
Mhm.
It's a fun time, and there was an RP made around that, and that was fun. Doing a killing game.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun. Honestly, like I know I keep saying it, but I am super jealous. It looks like it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is a lot of fun. I mean, like for those who, feel nervous or, like nervous about trying it out or whatnot for whatever reason. Like say for example, you're nervous with your voice, right? I mean, it's one of those things where, if you really want to try it out, I usually recommend trying to find a friend or, someone who you might feel comfortable at least trying it out, like starting with just a small group of people or even just one person,
Mm-hmm.
and then just kind of role playing with them and then seeing how you feel about it and go from there. Cause like it's one of those things where the only way to really adjust, you know, is to jump into it and do it. But you don't have to like dive straight into a social like I did. Yeah, you can start off small if that helps out more, like starting with just one or two people.
Mm-hmm.
So, say for example, if you ever want to, you and I could partake in a role play on here if you want. You would just have to make a VR chat account because I know
Uh,
you'd probably be on desktop.
oh, probably so. Well, you know what? If and when I get over my anxiety, I will absolutely take you up on that offer.
Absolutely.
Because man, I'm sad I didn't get to ask this earlier because normally what I do is nearing the end because unfortunately we are coming to an end. Um, I ask my guests like if they have any advice for any role players out there, but you just gave me perfect advice. Now I don't know what to ask you. Do you happen to have one more piece of nugget out there for anybody who's looking to get into role play?
Um, well, I mean, in the end of the day, just have fun. Like, of course, depending on what kind of role play you're getting into and whatnot, just have fun with creating your character and go out there, have fun, have a good time. Like, that's what I did. Like, this was, like, again, this is my very first character. She started off looking very different from how she
Mm-hmm.
does now. Obviously, she's gotten a lot of updates since then. And she started off like super silly, kind of like very dumb kind of character, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And like even stuff like say with backstory, you didn't even have to think of the backstory right away. That's something that you could think of later because that's what I did with this character.
Mm-hmm.
She is someone that I just wanted to do the sillies, have fun, you know. And then as time went and started doing more story, that's when I started diving into her like her backstory and whatnot. And I even got to do an entire arc based off of it. So that was a lot of fun. So yes, I've even done a little bit of DMing for roleplay as well. Although I'm not the main DM, but I have done some DMing. But yeah, just dive in and have fun. Yeah.
Get into it, have fun, pick up on the skills for everything else later.
Yep. Listen, all the like the skills and everything, all that, it will come. It will come with it as you go for it. You'll have people to help you, of course, along the way.
Heck yeah, and that's what, as with any role play is a community effort for the most part, unless you're doing it solo, which is absolutely fine and valid. Well,
Yeah.
I appreciate you. I really enjoyed this conversation. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Oh, and thank you for having me on your stream. This was so nice. Thank you, everybody.
Hell yeah.